Hi, welcome back to the Who Knew News for July the 5th. We are live here. My name is Christian Basil, and we have a big show to unpack today. And we have a very special guest. We're going to be also talking about the impending storm called Elsa. We don't know if it's going to be a tropical storm or if it's going to be a hurricane, but she's on our way to the Florida coast, and we're going to talk about why we are discussing uh, the storm Elsa that's approaching Florida. My name is Christian Basil, and welcome to the Who Knew News, brought to you by the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. Here is our special guest for today. This is Mr. Bob Pickering. Bob is an emergency management specialist. He works in Flagler County. He has been on the local affiliates like Spectrum News 13. He's also been on I believe, the other affiliate news stations here, and it is very, very steep. I've heard you on the radio. I've seen you on Spectrum News 13, and you discuss the weather out here. So, Bob, tell our folks a little bit about you. And you're a little bit dressed up, too, because this is also something that you do out on the convention circuit. Bob Pickering is also a cosplayer. Tell the folks a little bit about yourself, Bob, and welcome to the show there.
Well, thank you. And good afternoon, everyone, and good evening, or in any part of the planet that you happen to be on. And just a little bit about me and Doctor Who. I've lived in Florida since 1980. I'm originally from Boston, Massachusetts. My introduction to Doctor Who and was, of course, like many of us, the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, whom I am currently cosplaying today, and because this is a Doctor Who show after all. And of course, I grew up watching Tom Baker on PBS like many of us did when I was little, and then of course never outgrew Doctor Who and moved down here to Florida. And I finished off high school here in Florida, and then I actually worked at Marineland of Florida for 11 years, and I did everything from take tickets to push a broom. I was a diver, I was a trainer, I was an announcer, I was a laboratory technician. I did a lot of stuff for my 11 years there. And then I went to work for Flagler County Emergency Management, and I've been there since. Matter of fact, today is a special day. Today is my 27th year anniversary with Flagler County Emergency Management.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, dude.
Yeah, it just hit me. It's like July 5th. Oh, yes, that's right. That's today. And, I posted about it earlier. So with that being said, my job title is Emergency Management Specialist, as you said. And it is, basically Emergency Management Specialist is Latin for do everything. And,
and it's so like assistant manager. They do all the work. So the area managers in the back.
Yeah, exactly. So what I do is routinely day to day, I have a series of communications and equipment and technology checks. I check routinely every month to make sure things are working in the event we have an emergency, that the stuff works. We are emergency management. So the point is to have things ready when there's an emergency. I also do plan reviews. So like the care facilities in Florida, every care facility that is 24-hour care, like hospitals, nursing homes, and that sort of thing, they are required to have an emergency plan that has to be approved by the local emergency management agency. So I review those plans, make sure they meet state criteria. I also work indirectly with Fireflight, which is our county helicopter. I manage the flight followers, and I'm also responsible for the helipad. And you see pictures of me on Facebook landing the helicopter and stuff like that out there with it. I do that. That's not a large portion of my job. It's every once in a while, but it's one of my favorite things, working with the helicopter.
Wait. You fly helicopters?
I do not fly a helicopter. I do the
you land them. Okay.
Yeah. So basically explaining that is we have a set criteria for landing the helicopter at an area that's not a regular landing zone.
I see.
And so what we do is like our helipad at the Emergency Operations Center, it's not used super frequently. So before they come over here, we have to go out there on the pad. We have to make sure there's no debris or anything like that that can get blown up by the helicopter or sucked into the engine. And then as they approach, I communicate to them via radio, let them know wind direction and give them permission to land. And then I observe the aircraft, make sure everything's operating in order as they come into land. And then when they go to launch, same thing, go out there, make sure, the pad's clear, make sure everyone else stays back. When they go to lift, observe the helicopter in the process of lifting. So like one time we had a survey crew flying off, and just as they took off, this black object fell out of the helicopter. So I called on the radio and said, hey, something fell off your aircraft. And turned out it was just someone didn't have a camera lens properly secured. But that's the kind of stuff, extra safety stuff we do that's beyond the normal safety stuff that's required. So fortunately,
I love the look on Dave's
face.
That.
So,
that pains me. That pains me. I mean,
you can feel the pain. You can feel the pain from the description.
You can see behind me. I'm in my photo studio office today.
Yeah.
So a camera lens falling from a helicopter just pains me on so many levels.
It was a very small one and everything, but it wasn't properly secured and the door was open and out it came. But that's a little bit of what my job is. And when we've had big events, they've had me flight marshaling the helicopters at the airport. That happens like maybe once or twice a year. But most of my job, though, is I also do some public talks, public awareness campaigns. I deal a lot with the public and a lot of preparedness and readiness things. I work with our local. We have a couple of volunteer organizations that use two-way radios, amateur radio, GMRS radio, stuff like that. I interact with them a lot as well. And so I do a lot of different things. But weather, I'm also the focal point with our hazardous weather safety programs. Flagler County is what we're participating, what is called the Storm Ready program. We are required to have storm spotter training classes available for citizens in our county. There's also certain procedures that we are required to upkeep to ensure that hazardous weather information can not only get out to the citizens of the county, but also get relayed back to the National Weather Service. So that's my job in a nutshell.
And today, what other podcast today is going to bring you a fourth Doctor cosplayer to do emergency weather than the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS? So another thing that Bob does, not only that, but I think you were good friends with one of our friends. Speaking of cosplayers, God rest his soul, the late TR Hibbard, and you guys. I remember you two because you both were talking about trains. You guys were big train aficionados.
I think it was JR Hibbard. Was JR or TR? JR, I think. Anyways,
so
my brain is just all
nowhere.
Yeah. Anyhow, but with that being said, he was like the top-notch fourth Doctor cosplayer in this region. And he was, and my wife and I were just always just blown away. Not only that, his facial features were very spot on, like Tom Baker. I mean, it's like it was almost like he was meant to do that. And he was, he would have the regular fourth Doctor cosplay, which is similar to what I got going on right now. But he also had the last season of Tom Baker cosplay. I can't remember what the season was, but we wore the red outfit and with the red hat and the red scarf and all that. He had that as well. And there you go. That's it. And that man, he was absolutely spot on. He really did I just can't say enough on how accurate and how, and just how good that was.
Yeah.
And what that being said is he was also just like me and my wife and I are both railroad enthusiasts, and he volunteered a lot at the Railroad Museum at Dade City, but also would, I actually got him connected to some of the rail fan groups that exist on Facebook. And he would post videos and do reports of the CSX freight trains that would go past on the S line out there. So, and for those that are not train geeks, for those of us that are railroad enthusiasts, it's a hobby that's worldwide. And a lot of us have interest in the different types of locomotives. A lot of people don't realize how many different types of locomotives there are and who makes them and the types of rail cars and how that all works.
Right.
And the American railway system is a little bit different than the system in, say, in the UK. And I'm also quite fond of the railway system in the United Kingdom. And I've done trips and specifically to do photography over there, in the HSTs and such like that they have, and which a lot of them are retired now, which is why I went. I'm proud to say my wife and I got to visit the Doctor Who experience before it shut down as well. So that was absolutely really awesome experience, event and experience to go see. So he was big into train, so we connected really well. It was very sad to hear that he passed on. I think this past year he passed on.
Yeah, no, we still miss him dearly, and
we've lost so many people.
Yeah, Jessica and I were working Central Florida Comic Con, where he would have been at that convention in 2020. Unfortunately, things went the way they went, and then he passed. But Jessica and I were going like, is he going to come around the corner? He's going to come around the corner. We're just going to stand there. We were expecting him.
Yeah.
Bob, thanks for coming on. We're going to be discussing more about I guess the storm. I guess we can safely say at this point, tropical storm Elsa at the moment there.
That is correct. And it is a tropical storm at this point as of the 2:00 advisory from the National Hurricane Center.
Which we just got out there. For those of you who are joining us, welcome. Thank you for joining us here at the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. If you're definitely on our YouTube channel, please hit the subscribe button, which is located in the lower part of your screen. Subscribe, hit the notification bell. It's down there. Somewhere down there, you'll see it. It's a little traveling TARDIS. Click on that and then click the notification bell. You're going to see segments that are exclusively here for the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. And I had a request from one of my friends. Normally we don't do this because this is an exclusive, but I want to give a good plug out to our friends over at, where is it? There it is. Our friends over at the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. Go to facebook.com and go to the Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We are simulcast on their page right now at the request of Mr. Brian K. Morris, who heads that team out there. And so we're, for this particular episode, because we're doing a little bit of a weather segment, and I know they're big aficionados on that page, we've just sent over a link over there. So you can check us out live over there, but definitely here at the YouTube channel. Just hit the subscribe and the notification bell so that you can get more content, just to scroll down what we've gotten. I just recently received, Dave, I don't know if you know, we've got a third episode now of Simon Says coming up. Simon is actually going to be premiering on the day that we're supposed to be on, which is tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And a little girl asks Simon, what is science fiction? And he answers that question. That's going to premiere tomorrow. And then we're going to have a third episode, which he just sent me, and I'm in the middle of listening to right now. So I'm excited to see what he's got out there. So
always
Simon,
fun when we have Simon out there. If you haven't seen any of our episodes that have Simon Fisher-Becker, please, go find some of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting to have these little Simon Says bites.
Exactly. He was playing Dorian Moldovar from the 11th Doctor's series, and he is now part of the Legend Traveling TARDIS team. He found work, so we are so happy about that, but it's deterred him from doing the live shows on our regular broadcast, I should say, Tuesday at 6 p.m. So, but he still wanted to stay with the Traveling TARDIS there. Before we get with Bob, we're going to be doing the Who Knew News. And Dave, did you want to start? Or you want me to start it out over there?
Yeah, I can start.
You got it.
We'll back and forth.
Well, back and forth. That's a good one.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense to start. That's a good place to start.
Exactly. Who doesn't want to start with Georgia Tennant?
Yes.
She is the Doctor's daughter. She's also the Doctor's Doctor's wife. But of course, Georgia Tennant is the daughter of Peter Davidson and married to David Tennant. Mm-hmm. And she plays the Doctor's daughter. And Big Finish Audio they haven't released it yet. They just released the pre-order for it coming out in November for the second box set of the Doctor's daughter. You can see these are the Canadian prices up here. So, pre-ordered the digital for $20 Canadian. It'll probably be less than that on the American side.
Whoopsie.
Because that's what happens. You do have the 4 tracks there. We don't know the time lengths. These box sets tend to run anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour for one of those things. And down here you can see also they've got the Doctor's Daughter 1, which is running
the first series. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first series of them. And so you can see there. So that's for the download is only $30 Canadian. So again, a little bit less American. You got all your fun stuff there. So Big Finish, we love stories and we love their stories as well. We should do. It's going to be awkward timing because in theory we're going to be full bore into the new series on TV. But if we can find some time in there, we should try and do Doctor's Daughter 1.
That'd be fun. I did actually hear the free version. It's quite fun because she's kind of getting her wings out and she's been kind of tossed into this new world. And she's kind of like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm looking for, Dad. But that's coming out, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, November 2021.
November 2021, correct.
And this particular series is called Still Running, if I'm not mistaken there. So that's actually cool.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. Speaking of new series and the Doctor's or the Jenny's husband. Omen 2, Good Omens 2 with David Tennant. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. I'm just going to read from it from our friends over at sci-fi.radio. Don't forget, they are our producers for our show, and we premiere I believe now it's every Saturday on sci-fi.radio. But we are very excited that David Tennant and God, what's his name? I just forgot. Oh my God, I can't believe I just forgot it.
Isn't it written
Michael, what? Michael Sheen. My goodness, I had to read it. Oh boy, I am. So
I'm just gonna let you flounder because it's funny, and all you.
Hey, shut up. Michael Sheen and David Tennant are reprising their roles in the next season, which began shooting in Scotland. According to sci-fi.radio. A surprise tweet from Good Omens co-author Neil Gaiman confirmed this morning that the television series by the same name will be back for a second season, starring David Tennant and Michael Sheen, who's returning as the celestial duo, the demon Crawley and the angel. God, I can never say that name where I just read it. As Pharrell. I believe I got it there. You just want to
sounds right.
Shut it. Showman.
No, you got it right. Good.
Oh, I did. Okay. Showrunner Gaiman, who, together with the late Sir Terry Pratchett, co-authored the novel, which the original series was based on, confirmed the news in a tweet earlier this morning. This was just a couple days back, but can't wait. Good Omens was awesome, and I can't wait for these two to get back together. And I was still a little bit taken aback by how it ended. I was just like, they're really setting themselves up for a series 2, and I was like, okay, yep, there it is. Good Omens.
There it is.
2. And this is happening. This is a thing. So, and don't forget, if you want to, if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, if you want to talk to Bob, which we're going to be bringing him on in just a few moments, don't forget, you can do this in the chat on the YouTube channel, on the Rising Tide Publications, Rising Tide Broadcast Network Facebook page, and on our Twitch, which is also premiering there. We are with our special guest, emergency management specialist Bob Pickering of Flagler County, and he knows the storms very well. Speaking of storms, what's your next egg?
Well, I'm going to start this one off with a really quick video clip, and let me know if you can't hear. Like playing there, I believe, which brings up the fact that he is coming.
He's going to get an album.
He's got his full album. That is correct.
Yay.
So yeah, he's working on his debut solo album. You can see the info there. Now, interestingly enough, he is a distant relation of Louis Capaldi, who I don't know, and I looked him up, and I know why I don't know him. His music is not my style of music, which is fine.
I feel bad because I feel bad because I didn't want to be the first one to say that. I heard his song. I'm just like, I'm good.
His fastest song would have put me to sleep, and the slower songs, which and it
blows our chances for Peter to be on.
Yeah,
we just did
distant relation. Yeah, and of course he was in a punk band with Craig Ferguson back in their youth.
Right.
So he's got quite a bit of musical chops before outside of the TV. So,
and I think he did, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was which one episode? I think Under the Flood. No, I'm sorry. He did a guitar solo of the intro, one of the Doctor Who intro, if I'm not mistaken. I could swear he did a guitar intro for, I think, Under the River, or one of those intros. But one of the intros where he's talking about the bootstrap paradox. And right after, it goes into an electric guitar version, and that's actually Peter Capaldi, his theme with the guitar on that, if I'm not mistaken. If anybody wants to correct me on that, go for it.
Yeah, we don't have a ton of information on when it's going to be released, although he is going to be in Suicide Squad here. Being released at the end of July. Looking all sorts of crazy. Hopefully he gets a little bit of extra screen time there. But so we're looking forward to seeing more Peter Capaldi.
That was going to be fun. What do you think about that, dude? What do you think about that, Brian? Capaldi bringing his own music.
Bob, your kind of music?
Oh yeah, I heard Brian. I'm Bob.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I was like,
welcome to Crispin.
Oh
Nope.
that's interesting. And yeah, I'm familiar with Louis Capaldi because my wife and I listen to music all over the place, and we hear his music a lot. So, fun fact: we actually enjoy listening to a radio station out of Vienna, Austria, online, and you just hear German every once in a while, and just no commercials, just solid music. We really enjoy it. Plus, the European music. You hear stuff that you don't hear in the United States.
Yeah.
And which is,
You'll hear it in 6 months.
Yeah. So, yeah. But it depends. Like we've heard stuff played there that we've never heard in the United States. But yeah, familiar with Louis Capaldi, and we looked him up too. It's like, wait a minute, is he related to Peter Capaldi? But
yes.
But that bit where he came in on the tank with the axe fight, that was brilliant. And yeah, that was absolutely brilliant. And the 12th Doctor is been one of my favorites. I've cosplayed him, and Marianne has cosplayed River of Song alongside me when I've cosplayed 12. And I've actually we got invited to like a costume Christmas party a couple years ago when those things were happening. And I actually brought the Christmas version of 12 with me with the antlers and everything, and it was a hit. We got our pictures taken and everything. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, cool. Well, let me go ahead and bring up the next news segment. And this one, I just love the picture. It's Catherine Tate lands a next Netflix series called Hard Sell. And again, this is coming from our friends over at sci-fi.radio, where you can actually hear some of our episodes on the weekends. Don't forget to check them out at sci-fi.radio. I'll read this from out there. Catherine Tate was one of the best Doctor Who companions. Wow, okay. Those guys are making their claim in recent memory, playing the role of Donna Noble opposite David Tennant's portrayal of the 10th Doctor. Not that to say she wasn't a good companion. I just don't know if that was on the best companion list, but I loved her big time.
Bold statement, Cotton. We'll see if it turns out.
Exactly there. Thank you. Thank you. I love that little. Already well known in the UK for the Catherine Tate Show, the British comedy performer has created a 6-part women's prison mockumentary, Hard Sell, for Netflix. Here's the logline. Tate plays multiple characters as a documentary crew follows the inmates and the staff of HMP Woodsley, capturing the penal system at its brutal, humorous best. It's sounding like... it's slowly sounding like Tracy Ullman almost. It's getting there. Hard Sell is produced by Argonon-backed Leopard Pictures, which is behind Mackenzie Crook's BBC show Wurzel Gummidge, which I had not seen that series as of yet, the brand new series there. So this is going to be very interesting. Not too much information about that, but we just heard that she's going to be, I just love the look on her face. This is awesome. She has a beautiful look there. But we will be keeping an eye on that as the series premieres. And we'll be bringing that information on the Who Knew News there. Dave, did you have one more segment?
Nope.
Oh, okay, cool.
I mean, I got another screen up there for when we're talking to Bob, but
okay, gotcha there. Well, folks, of course, who could bring you the 4th Doctor cosplayer, Bob Pickering, cosplaying the 4th Doctor, who's going to bring you the emergency weather information. Again, the reason why we're even talking about Tropical Storm Elsa, possibly Hurricane Elsa, and it's not that it's not of importance. It is of big importance, but most of the Traveling TARDIS team here in Florida, and some of them are going to be in the impact areas. In the Tampa area, I think it's Mark Muncy and Melanie Dean. And in Central Florida, it's myself, Nisha, Jessica, and we have the Hanging With team who are on the opposite side of the coast. But it looks like this storm right now is projected to go up the Space Coast now. Has it moved recently? Because it was projected to go to Tampa.
Yeah, well, the key thing is to remember the forecast cone when we get to the graphics. That's the center of the tropical cyclone could go anywhere in that forecast cone. So right now, the furthest east they expect it to go is, and you notice that cone is narrowed considerably too. That means they got pretty decent confidence in the track of the tropical cyclone. So the center of the tropical cyclone could go anywhere on the right, anywhere from the right side of that cone to the left side of that cone. And so, but the key point to remember is that the worst weather is not necessarily going to be right around the center, especially this system that's a little bit messy and a little bit disorganized right now. So there's some areas that are some distance away from the center that may actually see some, fairly unsettled weather. So it's important that no matter where, if you're anywhere in the path or potential path of Elsa, to monitor and heed any of the local advice from your local emergency management, but as well as your local National Weather Service, because they will issue those watches and warnings and stuff. Now, if you note there on the map, on the state of Florida, you see all those areas that are blue. Those are tropical storm warnings that are in force for those areas. And just to, for folks understand what a tropical storm warning means, it means that sustained winds of 39 miles per hour or greater to 73 miles per hour are anywhere in that area, that those conditions are likely somewhere in that warned area. Now, again, let me also explain what a sustained wind is. So sustained wind is basically a wind that's measured for about 1 minute. So anywhere in that blue area, if they get a wind that blows at 42 miles an hour for, like, let's say a minute and a half, that's your sustained wind. So with that being said, based on the last few calls I had with the National Weather Service and so forth, based on the last few calls and conversations I had with them, this storm is, it's not going to be howling all the time. Many places are going to see, the weather's going to be like, I can't believe there's actually a tropical storm happening. It's not blowing out there and the sun's in and out of the cloud. But then when the squalls come by, that's when you're going to feel those stronger winds. And then when the squall goes past, then the conditions will settle down again. Now, with all that being said, there's a lot of what ifs and maybes. We just don't fully understand how the structure of this storm is going to be. We don't fully understand how, how it's going to, what shape it's going to be in after it goes over Cuba. Now, here's the other thing to note too. Yeah.
No, stop.
That's funny though. But if you look like right on the graphic there, right in that graphic there where it says 2 p.m. Monday, you see that little orange right around the X? It's really hard to see.
Yeah.
Right in Cuba. That's the extent of the sustained tropical storm force winds. So that tells you how small and compact this system actually is. And so, but the trick is, after it gets across Cuba, what happens then? Because going across Cuba and interacting with the mountains of Cuba there, that could potentially disrupt the circulation, and it could cause the center to reform in a different spot, not too terribly far away from the original one, but that could affect the track. It could also kill the tropical cyclone outright. Matter of fact, some of the models that the National Weather Service uses, some of them are signaling that the system might not survive going across Cuba, and it'll just move across Florida as just as a pretty strong disturbance and not a tropical cyclone at all. So what happens in the next 12 hours or so going over Cuba will actually kind of concrete what happens in Florida. So that's why there's still a lot of uncertainty on how strong winds are going to be and stuff like that. But yes, definitely. But with that being said, there are storm surge watches and warnings on the Gulf Coast. The Gulf Coast has a very high storm surge value rate over there, meaning just the way the topography is and the undersea, the underwater topography there. This is really favorable for storm surge. So even with a tropical storm, now you're not going to have like historic storm surges and where they have to evacuate cities. That's not very, very, very much likely not in the cards. But you could see some localized storm surges. So any areas that are really, really low, along the Gulf Coast, right on the waterfront, that are really down low, where like you're generally just a foot above the regular water level. Places like that could see some water on the ground, and it could be like 1 to 2 foot of storm surge there as things stand right now. And I want to also key on that those numbers might change, because once the system gets out over the Florida Straits, it might have an opportunity to strengthen a little bit. The upper air atmosphere doesn't favor rapid strengthening, but stranger things have happened too. So it's important for people. It's not that bad right now. I don't think I have to really worry about it. It's to really stay, fine tune. Yeah, exactly. Is to stay up on what's going on and, with this storm, because things can change quite rapidly. So it's a good idea to prepare for power outages. We're not talking about weeks being out of power. We're talking maybe, you could be out of power for a few hours, or even if you get a really good squall. All it takes is one really good squall. You could be out for a little while. So, check your generators, check your batteries, stuff like that. Now, for folks further up the Atlantic coast, this system is forecast to weaken considerably and become a tropical depression. But the other hazard that this may bring is heavy rainfall. So especially in some of the areas that are flood prone, again, follow the advice of your local emergency management, your local National Weather Service offices, because they know the lay of the land and what to expect, and follow their advice. The tropical cyclone might try to get its act back together again out over the Atlantic Ocean, off the coast, mid-Atlantic, North Atlantic coast there, New England area perhaps. So, Atlantic coast might get a little bit of this as well. And usually up there, it's a quick hitter, because the storms moves much faster. The further north they go, the faster they go. But so anywhere that's in the path of this thing, you want to at least stay up on what's going on with it, and heed to your local advice from your emergency management and your local National Weather Service.
Right. And I just want to let you know, I know we did this for fun.
Yeah.
Florida, I think it's just more or less, and I mentioned this on the last episode we did live, Floridians, I think they're just used to, this is the cost of paradise, and everybody's going like, well, Florida Indians don't care. For the most part, yeah, we do have those few out there, but for the most part, they are ready. We are kind of like, I don't want to say nonchalant, but we know kind of what we're doing. And we have, from what I can say, and I'm not trying to be political, we do have some good leadership when it comes to the storms. I mean, from what I've seen in the past, things that I never even considered, like the Wi-Fi, is taken into consideration. So for that, I think they get the Wi-Fi companies together and they say, okay, for the time being that this storm is going over, the Wi-Fi is free. Brian, I've also heard like Uber helps out. Like if you are in a trouble spot, I think the government comes in and helps get people out of locations that they're in trouble with, and they don't have any transportation out there. I think Uber or somebody provides transportation. Am I correct about that, Brian? I mean, Bob, I'm sorry. Gosh.
That I can't speak to that because I don't live in an urban area. And
I'm sorry.
I'm actually just checking some
numbers
that just came in here. So
sure, yeah.
Yeah. So and let's go. Do we have that map that we were talking about and laughing at earlier?
Yeah, we are.
So nice. But anyways, that is the wind probabilities from the National Hurricane Center, and that is the actual map to watch.
Right.
So that tells you basically like the percentage chance of rain. That's your percentage chance of getting sustained tropical storm force winds. All of these graphics are available at the National Hurricane Center website, which is www.hurricanes.gov. Now, I know there's lots of great weather pages and websites and stuff out there to track the tropics. In my view, the actual best forecasters, the folks that actually have airplanes in the storm, and the best tropical cyclone forecasters on the planet, at least this planet, work at the National Hurricane Center in Miami. So that's your go-to source. If you're not 100% sure of something, that's where you want to go. But this map here is the one to watch. This tells you your probabilities of getting tropical storm force winds. And of course, the hotter the colors get, more yellows, more reds and stuff, that's getting into your, it's probably going to be sustained winds of 39 or higher miles per hour for at least 1 minute in those areas. And some of those places may see them for in a few hours. Now, the further away you get into the greens, and you get into the lesser chances where, the chances decrease. So yeah, Gulf Coast and those areas there may see, especially as the tropical cyclone approaches. Remember, these things rotate counterclockwise. So, and the other thing to be of note as well, especially if you're on the Gulf Coast, is as it approaches, the winds are actually kind of blowing offshore. But after the center goes by, the winds will turn onshore. So your storm surge may actually hit after the storm goes by, after the center of it passes your location. So just don't be fooled by, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, because that it can almost be like someone throwing a switch. And again, though, we're not looking at historic Gulf. We're not looking at historic storm surges at this point in time. That in the center of the tropical cyclone is small. But again, folks that live in those areas, heed your local National Weather Service advice and heed your local emergency management advice, because they know those areas. They know how bad they flood. And if they tell you to evacuate, it's a really good advisable thing to do. During Hurricane Matthew, we had to send a jet ski out to rescue people that didn't evacuate in part of our county from Hurricane Matthew. So
no, I would even go as far as, and I'm just addressing our fellow Whovians and friends out there and anybody who's watching this. And correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, I've heard that people right now, this is a good time to, if you get a chance, go to your local grocery store. Do not go crazy.
Yeah.
Just buy things a little bit more. So if you normally get one roll of toilet paper, get two. Just get two. Yeah. Don't go crazy, because people do need that stuff. If you're going to get food, get some canned goods, and get some canned goods that you're going to actually consume. Don't get something like Spam if you don't eat Spam. You don't have to go crazy.
Spams, but
exactly.
Yeah, I'm a Monty Python fan too, so I'm sure a lot of us are. But
yes.
You don't need to go completely crazy. Topping off your gas tank's not a bad idea either. Yeah. You don't have to go bring 14 gallon cans of gas and do what we did.
Put it in a bag. I've seen that.
Yeah. Oh. And that was and that's what that's what the sound advice when that gas line had the problems was to keep your tank filled up. But what drove the problem was everyone not just doing that, but also going and grabbing gas cans in any container they could find and putting gas in it, thinking that we're going to have this great shortage of it. But that's good sound advice. And folks, this is the time to bring in that lawn furniture. If you've got that yard ornament that looks like a TARDIS out there and it's light, you want to bring that in so it doesn't travel on its own. If you have flags out there, you don't want to, you want to bring those in. If you have any, tree branches close to your house, trim those up. If you have a generator, make sure you got your fuel for that. If you have, if you have flashlights and stuff, make sure you know where your flashlights are at. Make sure you have your batteries and extra batteries and stuff like that. Because again, we're not expecting a historic storm out of this at this point in time. And I keep saying at this point in time because things can always change. But, you do want to be prepared. It just takes one good, strong squall to knock out the power. Now, there are going to be a concern for isolated tornadoes over the peninsula of Florida. And I'll get to that in a little bit. Let's get to the other graphics here. So let's go to the, what's the next one you got?
Well, we want to welcome
High
Janine.
Stuff down, Janie. Absolutely.
Yeah, and she says poor Gulf Coast. So it's a little bit of I believe. Let's do this one. I think that one.
Okay, so let's talk about rainfall. So this is going to be potentially a wet system, and again, it's going to really depend on two different things: where the track of the tropical cyclone is, also what kind of structure will it have when it gets up our way. How bad is Cuba going to screw it up and it goes across? And it could spread the rain out further. We just don't know. But right now, this is the Weather Prediction Center's rainfall forecast. Again, you can get this from the National Hurricane Center. Right. And some locations right along the Gulf Coast there could see widespread rainfall of 4 to 6 inches with isolated higher amounts. And now, of course, the further east you go in Florida, the better off you are. Now, for most places in Florida, catching 1 or 2 inches of rain is not a big deal for us because the afternoon thunderstorms can bring that inch or two of rain. It floods the roads a little bit. The swales fill up. And if you're not from Florida, you don't know what swales are. They're like little ditches along the sides of the road. Those things fill up. And all that, but they drain off pretty quick. But when you start getting, pounded, if you get a band of rain that just stalls over your area and you just get pounded with inches per hour rain over, get a lot of rain in a short period of time, and you can have those more serious flooding problems. So
I've seen cars. I've seen cars when they were driving. A road becomes a river if there's enough amount water. And I've seen actually a car driving on a road, which I've seen. I pass occasionally, and there was just enough torrential rain that came in that car literally became a boat and went across.
Yeah, that's very key point here, and not just for this, but for anything for your viewers out there. And if you're in the UK, which I love the UK, if you're anywhere in the world, here's a key piece of advice, good advice. If you don't know how deep that water is, don't drive through it. I'm going to say that again.
And for God's sake, don't swim in it.
That too. Don't drive through it, because you don't know how deep that water is. Is your life and your vehicle really worth it?
Yeah.
And like, find a different way around, and it's just don't drive through it. That's just turn around. Find the National Weather Service likes to advertise, turn around, don't drown. So I think I can make it, but if you're wrong, you can pay quite the high price. Then you have to go to your car insurance and say, well, guess what? I drove into a flood. What's your car insurance company gonna say? So don't do that.
You and a bunch of other people.
No.
And you could be on YouTube as one of those videos that gets circulated millions of times of don't doing this. You don't want to be famous that way. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
So you don't want to do that. So what's your next graphic you got for me there?
Well, Kristen, before we do the next graphic, could you go back to the awkward graphic for a second?
Sure, yes. The awkward.
That one. The awkward graphic. So just to kind of clarify, for where at the top, the northern tip of that is more or less where it's going to kind of blow itself out, right? Or is it theoretically?
This forecast only goes for 5 days.
Okay, so it's probably going to spill.
That will get updated, and that'll go further and further on. And
the innuendos are just
I don't want to say but that's essentially what it will do. And but that will move, and this is gonna be a Beavis and Butthead episode before we're done.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so but it's just that graphic, that's the map to watch, and because that tells you, because don't get focused on the little skinny line, don't get focused on where the center is. Some of the worst weather, and as this thing moves up, it looks like apparently going to be towards the west side of Florida, and coffee's important. That's my wife's religion is coffee.
Yeah.
So but as it moves up, like the areas that are going to have the strongest winds are going to be places along lakes, big open fields, but even on the East Coast. Okay, and this is where some people get a little caught off guard. So the center of the storm's over in the Gulf of Mexico, and depending how the wind field sets up, you can sometimes get your stronger winds at the beach on the Atlantic coast than you can in the central part of Florida. That's because the ocean doesn't have any friction, has very minimal friction, and the winds just go faster there. So that can happen. But we have to see how the structure of the storm is going to be. It's a pretty compact storm right now. So again, a lot of unknowns, which is, again, I say stay up to date, pay attention to what your local emergency management is telling you. Pay attention to what your local National Weather Service is telling you. And the news media, some news outlets love to hype this stuff up, but your National Weather Service, if you're, all you need to do is Google National Weather Service, and you get this big map, and you just click on your part of the United States, and that'll bring you right to your local National Weather Service forecast office. In Florida, there's one in Melbourne that covers the Orlando area. There's one in Tampa Bay Ruskin that covers the Gulf Coast. There's Miami that covers SoFlo. There's Key West that covers the Keys, Jacksonville, Northeast Florida. There's one in Tallahassee Panhandle. There's one in Mobile, Alabama that covers the furthest west parts of the Panhandle. And, of course, there's weather forecast offices all over the United States. So that's what you want to be paying attention to. And, again, if you're in the UK, UK Met has their warning system and such. Some of these systems, they translate from being a tropical system to a regular storm system and visit the UK in about a week. So folks over in the UK, you could get some gales out of this. We'll have to see what happens. It's just too early to know. Yes.
For sure. The reason I ask is that if you look just to the right of Maine there, that's Nova Scotia. Yeah. And I know we do have some regular viewers and commenters like Graham Krause who are from there. I've got staff out there. So it's it is making its way up into not my region, but certainly the areas of Canada that I am.
Yeah, and then they're very much in play, and all of New England and all that is in play because all it takes is for things to tweak a little bit to the left or to the right. So right now, Nova Scotia, you're down to like 5% chance of seeing sustained winds greater than 39 miles an hour within the next 5 days. Now, as the tropical cyclone or whatever form it takes gets closer, providing it doesn't die over Cuba, which is still a possibility. If it holds together and if it doesn't die somewhere, those numbers will shift and adjust. So the thing is to watch the trends of where you are. If those numbers kind of go up a little bit, then they stabilize in a low number area. That's a good sign. If those numbers keep going up, that's not a good sign at all.
So, and I want to add to this because I want to make sure that our friends, we have a lot of people who have come from other places who have moved to Florida, this might be their very first hurricane. There might be people who have never experienced a hurricane in the area. The one things I want to address, and Bob, if you want to add some stuff, please let me know. Don't panic, be prepared. That is the priority.
Yes.
Make sure you just get maybe a few extra stuff. Check the batteries. Also, stuff. What I usually recommend, and this actually came from another podcaster, just treat it as though you are not going to be leaving your house for about 1 to 2 weeks, because that might be camping at home. So also make sure not only your meds but your pet meds are taken care of. Make sure you got enough food, that you have enough batteries, you have a way of charging your cell phones because things like your cell phones, your tablets, they're going to be used as not only communication, but as well as entertainment at home, because you may not be able to get out of your home. I remember I was here for the 4 hurricanes, Charlie and all those guys, and Charlie actually took out some trees and made it impossible to drive around for hours.
Charlie, Francis, and Jean.
Yeah, I remember those.
So what you're saying is basically one step of preparedness just past what we've been doing the last year?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. It'll save you.
Don't be that guy that has 1 cart full of toilet paper, 1 cart full of paper towels, and some food you are just never going to eat, because we're not in something that's going to be something we can't recover from. And I think this is something, I don't want to project this, but a storm like this, unless it's really, bad, like a category 5, we usually get through this pretty darn fast. That's not to say bad things won't happen along the way, but the more prepared you are, the better off you can be. Make sure you have house papers. Make sure anything that shouldn't get wet should be put in like a firebox. Store things away that, you just want to prepare that, like Bob said, you might be in your home camping for quite some time. And we actually did at one point. Be careful of the candles. I'd rather use the flashlights because the candles heat up your house very fast. And being it's the middle of July, it's humid. Candles would be like the last resort.
Candles really, they try not to use candles, because if you accidentally start a fire, your fire department may not be like they are normally, because they're
doing something else.
Well. So, if they're even able to respond. Now, with that being said, we're talking about preparedness for the big storms. At this point in time, we're not looking at a storm of that caliber. So this is going to be disruptive. But now this next graphic here speaks of our tornado threat.
Put you up so they can see it there.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, this is from the Storm Prediction Center, and folks, you can get to that by Googling SPC for Storm Prediction Center, or just Google Storm Prediction Center. The Storm Prediction Center basically is like the National Hurricane Center for severe thunderstorms. So they issue all the tornado watches. They issue, every time you hear of a tornado watch or a severe thunderstorm watch, those are issued by the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma. And so a watch basically, and this is where a lot of people get confused, watch basically means that conditions are possible, that it might happen. Warning means that it's happening. And so, let me get my radio on.
That's right.
So anyhow, but if it's a tornado warning, that means that, and the thing with a tornado warning, most tornado warning lead times are less than 12 minutes. So, and in Florida, tornadoes sometimes can move very quickly. and be very, very hard to see. So, don't go out like there. Don't, it's when you get a tornado warning, it's time to move to shelter. Don't go outside and look for it like, they did in the movie Twister, because it might be, especially with a tropical cyclone, some of these might be moving along at 40, 50 miles an hour, and it might be on you before you even see it or know it. And they're very quick hitters. And some of the tornadoes associated with tropical cyclones can be strong. So what you're seeing here right now is, it's all the technical jargon here, but that yellow area is where the Storm Prediction Center has designated a slight risk for severe weather tomorrow and into Wednesday. That's effective from Tuesday night through Wednesday.
I can see my house from here.
Yeah.
It's in the yellow.
Scattered severe thunderstorms are expected or possible within that yellow area. It doesn't mean that every bit of that yellow area is going to see severe weather. It means that that a few tornadoes are possible in that yellow area, and the marginal risk area means that maybe one or two severe storms or the odd tornado will be possible in the marginal area. So now these are updated. So again, this is as of today. So again, though, you monitor your local National Weather Service, because they will relay this information. If you don't want to go, I'm a weather geek, I know how to dig this stuff up. But if you don't want to go looking for it, just monitor what your local National Weather Service is got to say. So let's go. We have that satellite image real quick. Okay, so what's going on here? So it looks like two big blobs. Well, this is
it's like a Doctor Who monster. Wait.
Yeah. Yes.
Really bad CGI here.
It almost looks like those, those ink blots they use to try to read you and stuff like that. It looks like two elephants or something. But anyways, this is a infrared satellite image, and those darker colors represent the colder thunderstorm top. So a couple of things I want to point out here is the center of the storm is actually to the west of all of that. So without, I don't have access to the mouse here, but right between those two blobs, if you look off to the left a little bit and then go a little north, like that first blob up to the top there, if you go a little bit left to the of that first blob, the one to the top, that's where the center of the storm is. So so it's not like your classic hurricane or tropical storm where everything is dead center around the center. Matter of fact, if you're on the west side of this storm, the folks in far western Cuba, at least for right now, they're probably like, wow, what tropical storm? They're probably having a pretty nice day. But folks east of that center, they are getting bombed with rain, and there's potential of up to 10 to 16 inches of rain in Cuba where this goes across. Now they have the mountains there, and the mountains can actually cause orographic lift and bring out much more rainfall as opposed to like Florida that's flat. So I wanted to show folks this because right now this is really not an organized tropical cyclone, and we are, it's in a tropical cyclone that is generally weather jargon for any of these warm core storm systems here. And I'm just going back to some of my narrative from the National Weather Service here, and it's basically they're in their storm is just south of Cuba, and it's moved a little bit of south and west of the forecast track, so it has altered a little bit off the track. There's a large area of thunderstorms east of the center. That's what we're looking at there, and the time over Cuba will be limited. So because it's not going to be spending a whole lot of time over the Cuba, it has a better opportunity of surviving the trip and getting into getting into the Florida Straits there. And then will it have an opportunity to strengthen a little bit? We'll have to see what shape it's in. If it's
one of the few times you don't want to hear it survived the trip. It's like,
yeah. So, let me get, like I said here, I'm just looking at some of my other, I'm looking at some of the data from the National Hurricane Center right now. And I'll read off some of these key messages here. So basically, they found that the reconnaissance aircraft has found, the winds to be holding at 55 knots, which translates into about 60 miles an hour. That doesn't mean the entire storm is blowing at 60 miles an hour. It just means somewhere in there, probably east of the center, they got at least 1 minute of the wind blowing at 60 miles per hour somewhere in there, to the east of the center there. And so they call those thunderstorms and have banding features with the circulation. So the center again is on the western edge of that main cloud mass. So again, the center's kind of exposed right now. They're expecting the system to continue to move off generally to the northwest. It could wobble a little bit, especially the center reforms. And then it's going to accelerate northeastward into the westerlies and off into the Atlantic, where it should lose its tropical characteristics once it gets out by Nova Scotia. So they've not, as of the 11 o'clock now, the track forecasts come out every 6 hours. So the forecast track we're looking at, even though we had a 2 o'clock advisory, is what was issued at 11 o'clock. The next track forecast will be issued at 5 o'clock. So 5 and 11 a.m. and p.m. is when those tracks are issued. So they're saying right now here that some slight weakening is likely while Elsa crosses west central Cuba. Re-strengthening over the Gulf of Mexico is likely to be limited due to moderate westerly shear. That's basically meaning that the upper level winds are going to be blowing across the top of the storm. You need to have calm conditions all the way up through the atmosphere for these things to be able to thrive. And because of that, those winds blowing across it, that is going to limit its ability to strengthen. However, stranger things have happened. So just, it looks like it's not going to be that bad. Pay attention to this thing. Things can change. So I'm going to read off some of these key messages here. The first one here, I'm skipping over to the stuff in the United States typically. So as Elsa moves towards Florida, and a heavy rainfall could result in some isolated flash flooding and some minor river flooding. And mid to late week heavy rains could get into South Carolina and North Carolina as we go into the middle part of the week. Some storm surges are possible along the Gulf Coast there, and tropical storm warnings are flying right now in those areas where some of that could occur, and a tropical storm watch is in effect. They've not put a a storm surge watch. They've not put a storm surge warning anywhere that I see here. So that's good news right now. So right now, the storm surge watch is in place all the way up into the Florida Big Bend. Again, some of those places, especially where the coastline curves, like up there by Cedar Key and stuff like that, are very susceptible to tidal surges. So it doesn't take much to get one going. And so that's basically their key messages right now from the National Hurricane Center. And of course, that will update as we go to 5 o'clock hour. So again, just for folks that are potentially in the path of this thing, just please stay informed what's going on. Use this extra time now to start, check your batteries. You don't want to find out, my flashlight doesn't work when the power goes out. You don't want to find that out then. Getting information. There's lots of good resources out there. Many local emergency management agencies offer either Code Red or Alert Florida notifications. You can sign up for free. Just like if you're in Orange County, just Google Orange County Emergency Management or whatever county you're in. Go to their website, see if they have this notification feature. You can sign up. You can pick and choose what warnings and watches you want to get notified of. If you don't have one in the United States, I think they have them in Canada too, is the NOAA Weather Alert Radios, NOAA Weather Alert Radios. They're old school technology, but you know what? They work. And if your cell phone systems are compromised, then this will help you not only get warnings and stuff, you can program it specifically to your county. So, if you don't care what's going on with the county next to you, it won't disturb you. But also you can push the little weather button on it and get weather information 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at any time you so choose. A lot of them have battery backup. So if the power fails, it'll continue to operate. So the message is to stay informed, and definitely there's some practical preparedness that you should be doing today.
And is there a good link for a checklist or where they could find? I'm sure Floridadisaster.org is the state of Florida emergency management website. Also, ready.gov for anywhere in the United States, ready.gov. And even if you're not in the United States, that ready.gov preparedness information is good anywhere. So, ready.gov. And Janie is correct too. If you have an elderly neighbor or somebody that needs a little help getting around,
Make sure they're doing okay. But here's another key point, and Janie, thanks for this, because in the state of Florida and many other states have special needs programs where if you have an elderly friend that's in a wheelchair or is not able to get out on their own, or somebody that's blind and does not drive, you can sign up for the special needs program with your local emergency management.
Right.
So what that program does, it gets you on a list. It's like, oh my God, I'm on a government list. Well, if you have a driver's license, you already are on a government list. Or if you have a social security card, you're already on a government list. So, but with that being said, you'll get on a list. So if there's an emergency and they need to do evacuations, they will actually reach out to you. They'll probably call you on the phone and say, hey, we're going to be evacuating your neighborhood. Do you need help getting out? And if you can't get out on your own, they will come and get you. So anyway, so that's also a good program as well. But again, for everyone, just stay informed. Do some of your practical preparedness things that you want to do today. This is not going to be, at least it does not appear to have the makings of a historic hurricane. This is not going to be Irma or anything like that. Or anything of that nature. It's not going to be Charlie, but it is something that folks need to be prepared for. And of course, folks in flood prone areas, especially further up the coast, you want to, again, heed your local advice from your emergency management and National Weather Service. And thank you so much for having me on. This has been a lot of fun.
No, this was excellent. And Bob, do you have any last minute words? I know you were wrapping up, but was there anything you might want to make sure that our fans know out there? Because I'm just going to show them.
I know that, there's probably younger fans that watch this, and every job I've ever done, it's been jobs I absolutely love. And so, be who you are and go and pursue the careers that you enjoy doing, and pursue those. I've done that, and I'm really happy that I've done. So that's my main message to everyone.
Awesome.
It's a crazy world out there. Everyone be gentle on themselves. But again, if you're in the path of this storm, definitely take the precautions and take the preparedness actions now while you're able to do it.
And it looks like, just to wrap it up, the storm is projected to go into the Tampa Bay area, or into the Clearwater, Tampa Bay, in that area. And that's where our next convention's projected to go take place. That's where our next convention is at the end of the month. So just be aware if you're in that area, and if you're anywhere within the air, the cone of uncertainty, please get prepared at least.
Anywhere in that where that tropical storm warning is flying, again, don't worry about where the cone is. Worry about what warnings you have where you are. That's what you need to pay attention to.
All right, folks. Again, thank you for becoming part of the legend. And as we say one last time to our girl right there, she's angry, very angry. Again, please stay safe out there, because we want you to continue to become part of the legend. Bob, thank you for joining us. Bob Pickering, you got it there. And thank you all. Please stay safe. We'll see you next time. And thank you for joining us at the Who Knew News.
My pleasure.